Doors are here, going to get wet sanded and buffed. Windshield frame is assembled, putting the pillars on. What we do is take some strip caulk and we rub it between your fingers to get a little bit skinnier. Put it right down the center, all the way down. Kind of locate your holes. Get some screws in here. Just the rubber pad for the bottom. Get some screws in here. We'll crank this down. Put a third one in here. Crank it down. Get them on both sides. Put it down. Snug them. The material here will kind of ooze out a little bit. Might come out a little bit on both sides. And you leave it in there. Come back and tighten it a little bit more. This is the rubber seal that is going to end up being trimmed later so that there's enough to lay right against here. Well, I got it trimmed enough to get this in properly, and then we'll be trimming it a little bit more. So we're going to pop that back together now. I'm sure we've gotten shots of the car and other things that we've put on. So wanted to get this real quick. A few more hours, we'll get some shots of the carpet and a variety of things getting put back in. Yeah. Got there, get a shot here. Doors are up on the stands. They're being wet sanded. I know it looks funny. This is 4 or 5 coats of clear, light coats of clear on here. And depending on the temperature and the humidity, they can be, I don't know what the right word, a little bit orange peely sometimes. And so you come back with 1,000 grit paper and wet sand the clear until it's nice and smooth, and then these will be buffed out. Same thing with what we've done on the car in different places. Okay. We've been working on the carpet. This gets screwed in, that one gets snapped in. The back wall carpeting is all in. This is not attached to that wood yet. And that carpet tucks down in behind. And this piece is in. He's working on the tunnel section. We'll be going forward here shortly. Started putting gauges in. We rebuilt, I think it was the fuel gauge that we put a brand new ring tore apart. It was all smoky inside. We filmed it, so whichever one that was. Put a new, cleaned the glass, cleaned the face, and put a new ring on the outside. So we've already shot that. Painted the grill screen. So at this point, seats are assembled. At this point, we're wet sanding. He'll rub out and buff out these doors so they're nice and shiny. And then just buffer and compounds there. We'll get some more time in here. It's October 5th, 2018. Customer decided to go with a new exhaust. This is improper. Front pipe is really, really old and rotted most of the way through. Would have to be sandblasted and painted up and what have you. The welds are broken here at the back side. He said this exhaust rattled a lot. Clamped up this side and this corner was held up with wire. It was held up with wire. It's all welded. Not very well welded together. We have a new galvanized system here. We're out of the hangers. They actually just got these in from Germany. and shipped off 3-4 sets already with hangers with them. The clutch rod needs a new bushing here. It's a sleeve, metal sleeve with a rubber inside and another metal sleeve in the middle. And it was all shot and punky and soft, so we pressed it out when we had this done. We got a new one of those coming in. I wasn't able to film it, but they had a water leak, and they found that the used water pump housing had a pinhole in it and leaks. They had all come apart. Put fluid in the transmission, and we found out then that it is leaking right here where these bolts go into this casting. And obviously you can't have that because it'll drip everywhere, seep out on the ground, and then your transmission will burn out because you got no oil in it. So this has to be taken apart. They drained it. This has to be taken apart, bolts pulled and sealed, put back in. We only cleaned up and painted the transmission. We did not rebuild it. Not sure if we had that they would have found that anyway, but so as soon as they get,
they're not even tight.
They're not tight. I wonder if that has anything. No, it shouldn't, because they should be sealed into the transmission. So we're still plugging away. The clock mounted, some gauges and so on. The car's up on the hoist now, but some gauges and so on are in. I don't know if I can see that from here. Oh, it looks like most of the gauges and switches are all wired.
Dash done on foot and radio.
So that's done. Most of the carpet in too? Just the rear parts?
I think it's 60, it might be 50.
Well, we're getting less and less pieces on the table here to put on, so making progress. I'm not sure about these nasty seatbelt pieces, but we're going to look into that too.
It's all the bolts weren't even tight.
Pulled the studs out. They were not very tight. The threads look okay on the base of that stud, but they didn't put any sealer on it, so we got to put a new one. They jammed a US thread nut on here, stripping it all to pieces, so this wouldn't even tighten if we wanted it to. It just spins around and around. You can see how simple it spins here and doesn't even move on the still stays in the same position. So the threads are all torn out. So this as you can see should be loosening. It just sits there. So threads are wiped out. So they ruined the stud. The other one is okay, but it didn't have sealer on it. We'll put sealer on it, run it back in. We're going to find another stud here. I guess even if we have to take one off.
I won't do that. I'll just grab a bolt, put the bolt in the hole.
Oh, run a bolt through?
It doesn't do anything. It's not designed for this car.
So anyway, they'll get this figured out and get this put back together, and we'll keep on rolling. The new clutch rod bushing just came in, so he's already knocked it into the center of this piece. This is for this end here with the threads and so on is for adjusting the throw of the clutch, so you can adjust it when there's wear. And the exhaust hanger pieces just arrived, so we're actually going to be putting bringing that back so they can get ready to hang the exhaust on.
Okay, this was all bead blasted and repainted, and you can see a little spot right there. Can you hold that light? See a spot right there. We got a bubble, and we got another one here. We're going to investigate this. The worst scenario is this is all pitted badly and literally leaking oil right through the tube. Being that this was all cleaned and blasted, primed and painted, no way should we have blisters here. We got another one there, a little wet right here. So we're gonna have to pull this, clean this up, spray it down, and see what's happening. I hate to have to take some of this stuff apart and weld that up and grind it down. We'll have to do whatever we need to do because we can't have oil leaking out of the axle tube. Even though it's minor, you still got a little bit of seepage there. We did not rebuild this transmission, cleaned it up and painted it, and we have a leak right here around that bolt.
We're thinking that's where it is, right?
And it running down,
Bottom seal could be
or
bad too.
or this gasket is bad. We're gonna blast this with brake clean, take another look at it here in an hour or so, see is it coming from here or is it coming all around this thing, and then we'll drain it. If it's this bolt, pull it, seal the threads, put it back in, check it again after you put oil back in it. But just one little thing after another you find when you're putting these
Then
together.
This right here is leaking.
That's leaking, definitely. Yeah, but that can be sealed, right?
Yeah, you can. I gotta pull that bolt out.
Yeah. So probably should have sent the transmission out. Probably should have sent the tranny out and had it all gone through, but it worked and looked decent, so we didn't do it. And hopefully the doggone front seal don't leak, because it didn't before.
No.
So, but that's one of the reasons I tell customers we want to run these for a little while and put some miles on them, because you don't know. We got a tiny amount of seepage out of this seal here, even though it's new, but the and we put a new bearing in, but the bearing surface on the shaft, the sealing surface on the shaft, we don't know if there was a burr or a mar, so we can take that apart, tap the seal in a slight bit farther to a new spot and make sure it doesn't leak. Otherwise, the actual shaft itself will have a burr on it that has to be changed. So we won't know that till we get it apart. So like I said, they're little things in the way, but they're pain in the neck because you got it all back together, and then you're finding little leaks here and there that are really aggravating. Fire it up. I'd say it runs pretty decent. Got an air pocket in here, not circulating yet. They're going to shut it off, let it set, and let the water kind of drain down in. But definitely fires up and starts nicely. They got some marks here, some imperfections I got to fix in the finish.
He knows I talked to him yesterday. Well, you stand back here, your seats really look.
Huh?
Your seats really look pretty bad. What better you do?
Been apart enough times. Get some shots later after we get a few more things on her. Okay, we drove this yesterday. We didn't film it. We'll film it when we go out again, but right now we're double checking the proper jetting of the carburetors. Weber's almost always come jetted improperly for a 190. So they have to be tested. You won't be able to read it because I actually have a magnifying glass here. I don't think you'll be able to see it. The jetting of the main here is 120, and it should be 125. The jetting of the idle jet is a 50 F9, and his is a 55 F8. So we're going to rejet this as needed and bore out what we have to here to get the jetting properly for the car. If we don't jet it correctly, it'll have hesitations, it'll burn way too much fuel, things of that nature, and it's kind of a pain in the neck. So we're gonna, it did start and it did run as you saw, but it will burn too much fuel. So, and it accelerates, it kind of hesitates. So we'll probably bore out the accelerator pump jet, the next size, and upsize the main by 0.005 millimeter, and we'll see how that runs.
Just don't drop.
Okay, we figured out, it was running beautifully yesterday, and now can't keep it running. Believe it or not, we found out that the generator shorted out. We'll figure out later, but we got to put another generator on it because the generator shorted internally. We could have spilled some moisture on it, taken this apart and that kind of thing, because we had a thermostat not working. It's hard to say, we'll figure that out. But once they disconnected the wiring to the generator, it started running fine again. So we're going to make sure the jetting is done correctly in the carburetors. It does run and idle now. And then once his generator is on, we can do test driving and that kind of thing. We can start buttoning this beast up, barring nothing else going bad, like a starter going bad. You know what I mean? It's like this car like doesn't want to leave. So the jetting thus far, I will attempt to film this. This jet is cracked. I don't know if I can macro zoom or not. Anyway, right by my thumbnail, that has a crack over 1/8 of an inch long in it. These actually push into here, and these are jetted improperly for this car. The main jets are jetted improperly for this car. So we had to change, I had to change 2 of these and 4 of these. All 4 of these. And then we're going to check the accelerator pump jets shortly. I don't believe we have any, but they're normally undersized. I'll bring in a really tiny drill bit set, and we will drill out. The accelerator pump jets will be drilled so that there's a little bit bigger blast of fuel on acceleration, and the hesitation will go away.
Okay.
So we'll get shots of that when we get ready to do it. It's been a while. We have been working on this, but it's been a while since we've filmed. So I'm going to do a kind of a quick recap. Looking pretty nice. You getting the antenna on now, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Doors are assembled and back on the car. Door handles need to be. Some carpet needs to be put inside yet. We're getting the headlights assembled and finding rusted and broken parts to that. I'll show you here what he's trying to finish up. This is January 3rd. This is the headlight ring that sits back in the body.
That was split all the way.
Which was broken, and that hole was all stripped out, so it wouldn't even accept a screw. You cannot buy these anymore. It exceeds $2,000 to buy replacement headlights that will go in here. These are the early style headlights. So
we're just gonna, he's been welding this up, grinding it down. He'll clean this up. He has to drill a hole here because the screw, is it sheet metal or is it tap?
It's a tap, machine screw.
So he's gonna have to drill that and tap a hole through here, but he's gotta clean up both sides. But he's got this repaired now. So he'll be able to save the headlights. One side you already got together, looks like, right?
Yeah.
The bumpers are on. The front bumper center here ended up, it looks good, but it's real thin, but it saved the customer from having to buy another bumper and then having that plated. But they look nice. They assembled them, mounted them on. Hood and the trunk will go on. They got to be polished up.
I just loosened it, but I didn't want to move it. So this is that. Yeah.
We have the correctly painted. Are his tires mounted on the rims yet?
No, they're right there.
Ready to go.
So we can take those down and get them mounted?
Yeah.
Okay.
We gotta figure out what we're gonna do for another tire. Got 5 rims and 4 tires. So
He just bought 4 tires. You'll have to use something off his. You'll have to use one of his original tires as a spare. So we'll get those mounted up. Another project in the wings.
don't rip it on top, you can't use one of those original tires.
And another one back behind his
Tires are
car.
actually mounted on it right now, but they're too wide to fit in the spare tire lock. They were really wide tires. They're short, but they're wide. So they wouldn't fit in the well anyways, even if you wanted to. You'd have to
So-
just lay it in the trunk. So we'll have to find.
What did he have for a spare? Did he have one? He had 5 rims.
His is still on a spare, I believe it's. I thought his was still, no, we took them off.
No, we took it off.
He took it off, so it's got to be around here someplace. He must have had a spare tire.
He did.
We'll look into it and see if it happened to fit inside of there.
Yeah. Well, I think yeah, let's make sure we've got.
Spent a bit of time here. They're putting the doors together. You just got to drop everything's together. You got to drop the glass in, right?
Yeah.
And put the door panels on.
Door panels on it.
He's doing the carpet.
Carpet, kick panels,
You got the insulation in below that?
below on.
The carpet?
Yeah.
Did I film that? Thought I did.
Yeah, you put it in there a long time ago.
Yeah, there's insulation down there.
Got the seat belt anchors in it.
Yep, seatbelt anchors are back. Deck lid's on. Oh, you got this fit? Or not yet? Or
Kinda, yeah, it's fit as good as it's gonna get. Remember, it doesn't really fit all at once. You know, a whole lot I can do with it. Kinda at the top,
we can try and shrink it up a little bit. Oh, the rubber mats. Do we sell him rubber mats? I think I did. Or does he have the originals or what?
He had these.
Oh, those are in good shape yet.
Yeah.
Okay, you got the spare tire. I'll film that here in a second.
Yeah, the back's all together pretty much. Oh, I forgot that we gotta put the license plate white lenses in.
They're on the bench right there.
You see them?
We have French fries for him, it looks like. Wendy's French fries.
Yeah, we were gonna put them on the spare tire.
This is the spare tire. It's a bit of a different size, but it was a decent. These are the new tires. I had them mount them with the white to the outside, but I also had him put the balancing weights on the back side, so no interference with the trim ring. It may not have anyway, but I don't want anything to interfere with the trim ring, so we'll have to scrub the blue coating off. But we'll get these mounted in a bit. And some other things, we're going to play around with these seats a little bit. Things have stretched and we'd like to try and move some padding around a little, make them look a little puffier on top. See if we can't fix that. A few things to hook up under here. What are these wires here going to? The ones that are...
Turn signals. I can't find any end connectors. Because he has a later style.
Ask Colin. He'll probably have something that'll work. We got quite a bit of stuff.
Fade cameras.
Yeah, Colin's got them.
I looked in Colin's stuff.
Ask him. He's out by the laser. You changed the fuel pump recently. Even though he had a new one, it wasn't pumping out enough. It seems to fire up now and run okay? Okay. And we fixed, re-welded and reworked this. You got a little tweaking to do before the headlight ring goes on?
Well, I don't know if the headlights lined up, so I don't believe that.
Oh, you gotta adjust the headlights first.
The headlights.
So you don't
He
put the-
already had that one on.
So you don't take the rings on and off and on and off. Okay.
Battery.
So it's in gear, so it runs me over when you start it?
Yeah, just, can you step over about a foot this way?
Just closer. Put my leg between here.
Right.
You don't even have the choke on, do you? Put the choke on a crack. Because the choke isn't on, I can tell.
Okay, go on. Well, come on.
Want to pull a little more?
You should be good there. No, it's too much choke. Go on. That fired right up.
Is it flooded?
That might be.
I see the fuel pump pumping into your sight glass.
Go ahead.
I think it's flooded.
Go ahead.
Is the choke all the way off?
You better let that starter cool down.
Yeah.
I think we flooded it. Fired right up immediately. It just didn't stay running because it was cold.
Well, it did the other day, it fired right up and I was
But, yeah, it sat there
like,
and
holy
looked.
crap.
You got that covered partly so that you're
That sucked.
emulating the air filter being on.
You gotta finish fixing that too and paint
All right.
it. I know, I forgot about
I'm gonna throw it in my Jeep.
He just said something about it.
What's he got to paint? Air cleaner?
The air cleaner has all holes in the bottom.
Oh, the air cleaner is rotted out on the bottom.
Hammer that front tube out to the front snout.
Okay.
Bent out.
Well, I'm gonna get the video off to him of where we are, so that he has a better idea, and then we'll continue popping it together.
This thing ain't fired right up, slid right up.
Say it again.
I think we flooded it.
I smell gas.
You can smell it.
Must have.
Is there gas in it? There's gas in your. There's gas in your
Gas in the ball.
in the float or in the filter.
So it's got just over a quarter tank,
Okay.
2.25 and a half.
Oh, and you got the side moldings polished up and on here,
Yeah.
and the rocker moldings. I forgot that.
That wasn't no fun deal. That was a whole day thing.
And the stone guards.
Doing an eyebrow.
Bumpers, tail lights.
Them eyebrow moldings didn't fit this car for the track.
No. Bob had a lot of work on that.
The one.
They look
right there,
decent.
The one on your side right there in the back, the molding was a quarter of an inch longer than the eyebrow. Figure that out.
Yeah, but they were like
And they're die stamped parts too.
Yeah. And this
All
one,
right, we'll get some shots in a while.